This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Thursday, December the 2nd, race number 8 at Aqueduct. Let's throw up the field for an entry-level allowance race going 1 1/16 on the outer turf. You can play the race with DRF Bets. You can download free past performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them and handicap along with us. Trying to get a couple more turf races before grass season ends in New York, Mike, and what a surprise. Chad Brown very well represented. He's got the morning line favorite, the 6, Advise and Consent, off a maiden win at Belmont.
Yeah, I mean, he's very lightly raced, and he's facing, as a 3-year-old, he's facing some, more experienced horses in here, Dan, but it just feels like he has a lot of upside. I feel like he's a horse coming right off his maiden win who makes plenty of sense in this race.
One of the keys to this race, Mike, could very well be the pace. Heck, it's a New York distance turf race. We're not expecting a lot to begin with, but then going over the field, there are not a lot of burners in this race. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Caveat Emptor was on the lead at Colonial 3 starts back, but he's not exactly groovy on the front end. I wonder if the 6, Advise and Consent, is just able to get to the front and have a similar situation as last time on a slow pace.
Yeah, whether he's, right on the lead or just sitting off it like he did last time, I do think Advise and Consent is probably going to be right up there with the leaders early in this race. We'll see if they decide to get aggressive with Caveat Emptor again. They rated him last time, 3 starts back. They did put him on the lead, and he took a lot of pressure that day. It actually ran a pretty nice race. Feels like they could do whatever they want with him, Dan, but in a spot like this, I don't see why they wouldn't go forward. I would like to see Luis Saez get aggressive with the 10, Danzig with the stars. He has plenty of tactical speed from the outside. He should be going and looking for a spot.
The one, My First Grammy, is entered main track only. The 2 Space Launch, I believe, has tactical speed to be closer than where Timeform US has him. Let's watch his last start, going 1 1/8 at Aqueduct last month. And we see him in between horses turning into the stretch. There wasn't a ton of pace in here. I thought he was pretty game to get up for second. This is a horse that showed some ability as a 2-year-old. He's had his share of layoffs, but it looks like he might be racing himself back into shape for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, maybe he is. I mean, he runs fine in here. Overall, I just thought he got a really good trip there. He sat right behind the winner, King Cause, all the way around the track. And you could see there through the stretch, just didn't make up an inch of ground there. He was game to prevail for second, but he never threatened the winner. I sort of felt similarly about his race 2 back. He got a good trip. He had every chance to win. He wasn't good enough to get it done. I mean, he's not for me, but he's probably going to be a fair price if you like him.
The 3-3 Jokers entered main track only. We move to Chad Brown's number 4, Lonesome Fugitive. Haven't seen this one since Saratoga. That was a decent entry-level allowance race. The winner came back to run third in a 2 other than at Kentucky Downs with a 90 buyer. This horse, though, has been stuck at this condition now for 5 races, and I wonder where the upside's coming from.
Yeah, I feel the same way about him. He is a horse that looked like he had some potential early on. I mean, I sort of look at him and I feel like you could say, you know what? They've had a lot of trouble getting this horse to the races. So maybe there are just some physical issues that are holding him back. I personally think he's hard to take at the morning line price in this race, 7-2. I will say, though, if you go back and watch his last race at Saratoga, there's an argument to be made that he was going to win there. He cut the corner to the stretch. He got right in behind the leaders, and he never came clear in the stretch. Wound up getting shuffled all the way out to last at the 16th pole and just really lost all chance. He ran pretty well last time.
Might need a little bit of pace help up front, but might be a sneaky price source for Chad. You rarely get prices on a Chad Brown train runner. Public Information was claimed by Michael Maker, and guess what? He won first off the Maker claim, and this $50,000 starter allowance will show you. And Mike, as we watch the replay, this is like me on the Palisades Parkway the other day. I'm down towards the inside, and I'm going pretty quick. And I'm beginning to realize right about here, oh boy, what am I going to do? Do I hit the brakes? I'm just going to try to go on through. And there I go. And the hole opened up and it worked out, and you breathe a sigh of relief and you go on to win.
Yeah, I've seen you drive. I would imagine that if that happened to you on the Palisades Parkway, you'd be in the Hudson River right now. This horse got a perfect trip to win this race, but he had run well 2 and 3 starts back with great setups from off the pace. He got a better trip last time and won. You saw High Tide coming from last and making up a lot of ground there to be second. I kind of would rather have High Tide out of that race, but Public Information makes sense in here.
That was a fast-paced race. I think they both took advantage, but certainly the trip worked out for the winner, who was able to save all of the ground. Advise and Consent ran well enough in his debut sprinting at Belmont that he went off favored in his second start, his first start going long, and can't ask for a better trip than this. Let's watch the replay right now. No pace whatsoever. The runner-up made the lead, and Advise and Consent, who broke to the right and might have knocked out two or three horses, ends up in a great position. And as you see, there's no closing going on in this race. Not surprisingly, a couple of next out winners. The third horse, who might have been compromised, coming back to win a maiden special with an 84. This horse is still learning. He's also all upside, and he has that tactical speed.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true. I mean, I can't sit here and say that I love him, but he makes a lot of sense in this race. His debut was fine. He got shuffled back a little bit around the turn in that race, and the winner of that day is a pretty nice horse. He obviously took a little step forward last time with a perfect trip. I don't know that I would bet him at a short price, Dan. I won't be surprised when he wins, though.
Caveat Emptor, the number 7, goes out for a rock-solid trainer in Jimmy Toner, and I really like the way this horse won his maiden at Kentucky Downs 2 starts back. He got a very nice ride from Irad, who just kind of dropped in on the turn, then got to the outside, but this horse ran in the stretch, and he earned that 89 buyer, and he came back first time against winners at even money in this race at Keeneland. Let's watch that effort over good going, and he fell a little bit further behind in the early portion of this race, but he charges in the stretch. That's what he's done in most of his starts, and he weaves his way through. He's got good agility, and he's just going to miss by a head.
Yeah, I thought he ran fine in here. They rated him this time, and the winner did get to the front in this race. I don't know, Dan. When I watched it back, I sort of felt like he still had a chance to win it. I mean, he got clear with plenty of time in there, and it looked like briefly he was going to get there, and then he didn't get there. I'm trying not to hold it against him too much because I did like his races 2 and 3 back. But I wanted to like him more coming into this. But I've actually been a fan of this horses from the start. And I do think he's a player in here.
We saw Public Information win that $50,000 starter allowance for Michael Maker. We saw High Tide rally for second. He's an ex-Maker horse that was claimed by Carlos Martin 4 starts back. This horse has a big late kick. That big late kick might not be enhanced if there's no pace.
Yeah, that's the problem with him. It feels like this race isn't going to set up at all. And as well as he ran last time, and I did think he ran a good race last time, there was plenty of pace for him to come charging at late in that spot. It may not set up that well for him here.
And then you got the wild card in the race, the number 9 Caruthers, a horse that hasn't run since February. He's never run on turf. It's his first start in North America. He's with Bill Mott, Lasix on. He went 2 for 3 on synthetic in England. Private purchase, it appears. And the horse he beat last time out did come back to win his maiden.
Yeah, I mean, his races are actually pretty good over there. He was very green first time out against Rebels Romance, who turned up, a little bit later that year and won the UAE Derby over there. He's a really nice horse. And this horse came back in his next 2 starts, a little bit more professional, very convincing wins, visually impressive too in both of those wins. I mean, there's a lot in front of him here as he, stretches out, switches to turf for the first time, off of the layoff here for Mott. And he's not a great price on the morning line. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
11 and 12 entered for main track only, so we'll talk about the 10 Danzig with the stars as we throw up our top pick for this race, because that's where you're going to go. And this horse looked good at Saratoga. He's going to be facing open foes for the first time, except for the Better Talk Now, which was a restricted race. And he ran pretty well, I thought, all things considered, in the Better Talk Now. Last time out, again, I thought it was a decent race, going a mile and a 16th, considering it was his first start in 2.5 months. But I agree with you. Louis Size, get forward with this horse.
Yeah, I'd like to see him come out and get a position. I mean, he gave him a good trip last time, and this horse I thought ran well. I think that was a pretty solid 2X field. And he ran well. He just got a little tired late after he failed to get by to the lead, but that was a good performance. And I'm with you. I thought his Better Talk Now, and that's not a race that I love overall, but this horse was rated back to last in there, and there was just no pace on in front of him. I actually felt like he ran a deceptively good race in the Better Talk Now. I just wanted to take him. I didn't love the shorter prices in this race, and I feel like if he gets the right trip, he can contend here.
I got to use him. He's my second choice in here. I just wonder if Advise and Consent gets another candy trip up close to the pace. I still think there's a ton of upside here. I don't like the morning line price at 5-2, but he's going to be my top selection anyway. 6-10-5-7 for me, 10-4-7-6 for Mike. The Thursday race of the day is the 8th at Aqueduct. Best of luck.